Welcome to the Sharma show. Today on the show, we're going to talk about an article in the Quint that perfectly explains the double standards in the media about different communities. This article is actually about triple talaq, so we're going to talk about that article today. My name is Sham Sharma. Welcome to the Sharma show. Hello, and welcome. Welcome to a brand spanking new edition of the Sharma show. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for watching. Happy Hump Day, and I appreciate you. So there's been a practice in India called Talaq-e-Biddat, or popularly known as Triple Talaq, where a Muslim man can just say talaq 3 times and that legally divorces him from his wife. Now, of course, as you can expect, such an arbitrary form of divorce has destroyed the lives of many Muslim women in India. And people have often used it, like I said, in arbitrary and often creative ways. There was a case where somebody had actually divorced someone through WhatsApp. So, of course, as you can imagine, Muslim women have not been too happy about this tradition. And so the Supreme Court was moved by a Muslim petitioner. And this became very famously known as the Shaira Bano versus the Union of India case. And under this case, the Supreme Court held the triple talaq system as void and illegal. Now, even though the Supreme Court has made the triple talaq system void and illegal, there is no punitive measures. There's no punishment for it yet. And there's nothing actually preventing a man from just saying talaq to his wife and being like, okay, we're done, I'm out. And in fact, since the Supreme Court's judgment, the Union government has actually found over 100 cases of triple talaq registered. So clearly there was something more that needed to be done to put a stop to this. Therefore, the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Marriage Act 2017 was passed by the Lok Sabha on the 28th of December 2017. This bill makes the practice of Talaq-e-Biddat or triple talaq punishable by 3 years imprisonment and a fine. And also under this bill, the aggrieved woman is allowed a subsistence allowance from her ex-husband as well. Also, this offense has been made non-bailable. So now there are some clear punitive measures and punishments in place. And it also goes a long way in removing that financial uncertainty that a woman faces when she's been given divorce in such an arbitrary way. Now, some people say that, oh, this goes against actually Islamic principles and it should not be banned. And that's completely nonsense as well, because this practice, believe it or not, has actually been banned in Algeria. This has been banned in Bangladesh, in UAE, even in bloody Pakistan. And it's only in India where we tend to be too secular for our own good sometimes, where we've allowed this practice to continue and thrive, and we'd allowed thousands of Muslim women's lives to be ruined. So when you see the background of it, it all makes sense, right? This bill completely makes sense. Well, no. Apparently, this is a grand scheme by the fascist and Hindu fundamentalist BJP government to control, manipulate, and subjugate Muslim women and to thereby destroy the Muslim community. Yes, that is what the insinuation is being made by the media, which generally leans to the left, and that is the insinuation being made in this article that was published in the Quint that I'm going to talk about. This has been written by a Dr. Shibal, and the article is called Dear Ishrat, Don't Become a Pawn in Triple Talaq Politics. So the left encourages Muslim women to, revolt against the patriarchy and to take decisions and to take matter in their own hands, and where they're doing so, they're fighting sexism. But when Muslim women do it, they're being a pawn in the patriarchy's hands. Why is there such a double standard when it comes to these two different communities? Now, the essay starts by the author mentioning her own divorce, and of course I sympathize with her for that. That's very unfortunate, and I bear no ill will towards the author. The problem that I have is with this article, and is with the content of this article and the agenda that this article is trying to push, and that the Quint has often tried to push. So she says in the article, you must have wanted to hurt your husband while with him, and the same applies to him because that's what people do in marriages that are about to end. Well, maybe, and this might sound completely crazy, maybe she just wanted a life of dignity. Maybe she just wanted some financial security for herself because her husband had just dumped her like a hot piece of coal and taken off. Then the article says, the courts have done well to call triple talaq illegal and akin to domestic violence. There is then a law of the land that will take its course. Well, like I mentioned before, the court, even though they have declared it void and illegal, there is nothing actually deterring a man from saying triple talaq and then just running off. This bill actually tries to put that deterrence in place. Then she says, a law that has at your behest cast aside something despicable, which despite its violent nature found social acceptance for ages. So let me get this straight. are you underhandedly trying to justify triple talaq? Because can you imagine if an article was written by a BJP supporting Hindu that said, women, don't fall into the hands of the left and their agenda. Don't fight dowry like this, because despite some problems that it may have, it has had social acceptance for so many decades. Can you imagine the complete media meltdown at that article and the charges of fascism and misogyny and sexism towards that author? But because it's somebody from the left that makes that assertion, yeah, it's all good. And she goes on to say, it is not a matter between the state and your ex-husband, but imagine the state taking over or someone other than you deciding to prosecute the man you were married to. Well, actually, yes. It is a matter between the state and her ex-husband, because India is not some kind of a vigilante savage society. India is a democracy where the rule of law actually exists. So she cannot take the matter into her own hands. And when the husband can just utter 3 words and then take off and leave that woman in the lurch, giving her absolutely no recourse, giving her absolutely no financial assurances, would you rather A, have the woman live like some sort of a pauper in a destitute situation and a life of poverty, or B, would you rather the woman live a life of dignity, have some sort of financial security, and live an actual meaningful life? It seems like this article is suggesting option A, which again is an incredible assertion to make. Then it says, I'm hoping you understand the implications of what you're about to be the poster girl for. Yes, I'm pretty sure she does. She's about to be a poster girl for Muslim women across India who will now have the belief that they can chart their own path, that they can lead a meaningful life, that they don't need a man in their life to lead a fulfilling, happy, financially secure life. Then it says, when you sit down with a cup of tea or whatever your poison is all by yourself, think about why those who are using you as the face of their heinous agenda are doing so. Protecting a woman from arbitrary divorce is a heinous agenda. Giving women financial security and ensuring that these women live a life of security, live a life of dignity, and live a life full of meaning, even when their husbands are not around. Is that really a heinous agenda? Then it says, do not let your personal grief cloud your judgment. Do not let your lack of discretion in this moment alienate an entire community more than it already is. Hang on a second. Why will this alienate a community? Is this article trying to say that the only way the Muslim community can function is that if it subjugates its women, and if that it treats its women like second-class citizens, and that if the women gain freedom, if the women gain the ability to take their own decisions and to find meaning in their lives by themselves, that is somehow going to lead to the destruction of this community? Again, I'm not saying that. I'm all for it. This article seems to be insinuating that. Like I said before, this is an insane article, and this article echoes very well what the left ecosystem has been talking about when it comes to this bill. They've completely lost their minds, because the whole agenda of the left is that the BJP government, this particular government, is a fascist government. It's a Hindu fundamentalist government. It only cares about Hindus, and all it wants to do is destroy minority communities. But if people actually see that this government is actively taking steps to ensure that the lives of women in minority communities are better and that they can live better lives, they have more freedom, they have more financial freedom, then that whole notion of the BJP government being a fascist government just goes out the window. And that's why they're losing their minds. And that's why they're publishing articles like this, that, hey, don't become a pawn. Because unfortunately, the left infrastructure and the left ecosystem only considers Muslim women to be their pawn. So that's the article. I think it's a crazy article, and there are tons of arguments like this being made by people on the left, and it's very important that we highlight that, and it's very important that we fight that. And now I actually want to put this question to you. Do you think this is actually a good bill? Do you think this bill actually helps Muslim women? I certainly do. I do think that when it comes to the Dowry Act and when it comes to these acts, there's a similarity that both of these acts can probably be misused by some women, and we must then also look at provisions to protect against that, protect some of the men against that. But as far as the total bill goes, I think the bill is definitely a step in the right direction. I'd love to know what you think, and please get involved in the comment sections below and let me know your thoughts. All right, and that's today's show. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, again, make sure to like the show, make sure to comment below, make sure to share the show, and make sure to subscribe to the show's channel. I'm actually going to try and do a live stream sometime this weekend, so I'll let people know on Twitter and Facebook, so make sure you go ahead and follow me over there. And I'll let people know when I'm going to do that live stream. So hopefully you will come and join me for that live stream, and hopefully you'll have some questions for me too. All right, now I will see you on Friday for the Friday show. And until then, why don't you do me a favor and stay happy and stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.